It was a clash no one expected, and the fallout has rattled political and rural communities alike. Prime Minister Sir Keir Starmer found himself in a high-stakes showdown at the COP29 climate conference in Baku, Azerbaijan, where he publicly condemned a stunning, and many say disgraceful, statement made by former Blair advisor John McTernan. The political drama kicked off when McTernan told GB News that farming is an industry we could do without. Yes, you heard that right. He actually suggested that British farming might be better off dismantled. What followed was nothing short of a political storm, with Starmer slapping down his former Labour colleague in a move to salvage the party's relationship with rural communities and fend off furious critics across the political spectrum.
Inheritance tax plans for farmers. John McTernan, a former aide to Tony Blair, of course the Labour Prime Minister, says your party wants to do to the farmers what Thatcher did to the miners. It's an industry we can do without. Is that what you think about farming?
No, I totally disagree. I'm absolutely committed to supporting our farmers. I said that before the election, and I say it after the election. That is why in our budget last week I was very pleased that we're investing £5 billion of our budget over the next 2 years into farming. That is really important for our farmers, and I will do everything I can to support them, because I think it's essential that they not only prosper, but prosper well into the future. So I totally disagree with those comments.
The stage for this scandal was set when John McTernan, once a close aide to Tony Blair, went on GB News to discuss the latest budget changes affecting the farming sector. McTernan, with an astonishingly casual tone, expressed support for tax increases on farms, calling it a necessary clampdown on tax avoidance. But then came the bombshell. He claimed farming is an industry we could do without, sparking outrage among farmers and their supporters across the nation. To make matters worse, he doubled down, suggesting that farmers should face a crackdown similar to the one Margaret Thatcher unleashed on striking miners in the 1980s. For many, these remarks were a slap in the face, an attack on the heart of Britain's countryside, and a direct insult to the thousands of farmers who work tirelessly to feed the nation. McTernan's comments didn't just draw scorn from farmers, but triggered a firestorm of criticism from Labour's political rivals and even within the party. Reform UK MP Rupert Lowe didn't mince words in his response, calling McTernan's statement disgraceful and warning that Labour was launching an attack on Great Britain. In a fiery interview, Lowe argued that farming is a crucial industry that supports nearly 500,000 jobs, adding that Labour's disregard for these livelihoods is nothing short of a betrayal. According to Lowe, the values of the Labour government do not align with the interests of British jobs or rural communities. His remarks only added fuel to an already volatile situation as members of the farming community began to speak out against Labour's apparent anti-farming stance. Meanwhile, Exmoor farmer James Wright took to the airwaves to express the outrage felt by many rural Britons. In a passionate segment on GB News, Wright said that McTernan's comments revealed Labour's true intentions. Clearly he said the quiet part out loud, Wright declared, accusing Labour of waging a war against the countryside and betraying the very communities it once claimed to support. Wright didn't hold back, suggesting that Labour's policies would lead to family farming being thrown to the wolves, leaving rural communities economically devastated. His heartfelt words struck a chord with viewers, and many in the farming community began to wonder if Labour had truly abandoned them. Adding fuel to the fire, Wright warned that Labour's proposed inheritance tax changes would put a financial stranglehold on family farms. He explained that the new policies would hit even modestly sized farms, like his own 160-acre plot, forcing families to sell off land to pay taxes. This is not about protecting the countryside, he argued. This is a war on rural people. Wright's statements resonated with viewers who see the farming industry as a vital part of British heritage, a symbol of hard work and resilience that Labour appeared willing to dismantle. In a bid to distance himself from McTernan's explosive comments, Keir Starmer took the stage at COP29 to address the scandal. Speaking with conviction, he outright disavowed McTernan's position, emphasising his commitment to British farmers and doubling down on promises made before the election. "I totally disagree," Starmer stated firmly. "I am absolutely committed to supporting our farmers. I said that before the election, and I say it after the election. Starmer highlighted Labour's recent budget allocation of £5 billion over the next 2 years to support farming, a move he described as essential to ensure the prosperity of Britain's rural communities. His words were clear, but whether they were enough to mend the rift between Labour and the farming community remained to be seen. While Starmer's remarks may have temporarily cooled the outrage, critics argued that his response failed to address the underlying issue. Reform UK MP Rupert Lowe wasn't about to let Labour off the hook. In a scathing statement, he accused Starmer of playing politics, suggesting that Labour's recent policies and the rhetoric of figures like McTernan indicated a deep-seated contempt for rural Britain. According to Lowe, Labour's agenda is out of touch with the needs of the country, particularly in rural areas that depend on farming for their economic survival. For him, the scandal was emblematic of a larger pattern of disrespect toward traditional industries and working-class communities. Even Labour insiders reportedly expressed concern about the optics of McTernan's remarks, fearing that they could further alienate rural voters. With Labour already under scrutiny for its environmental policies and its stance on green energy, the scandal only reinforced perceptions that the party is prioritising metropolitan interests over those of rural Britain. Starmer's efforts to reassure farmers may have come across as genuine, but for many, the damage had already been done. The Labour leader now faces the challenge of proving that his party hasn't turned its back on rural communities and traditional industries. This scandal didn't just put Labour's farming policies under the microscope, it also sparked debate about the wider implications of the party's environmental agenda. With Starmer attending COP29 and pushing for aggressive climate targets, critics argue that Labour's focus on net zero goals could come at the expense of economic stability and jobs in traditional industries. McTernan's suggestion that Britain could do without farming has only fueled fears that the Labour government might sacrifice rural livelihoods to meet its climate commitments, and with whispers of potential rationing of power and the banning of gas boilers by 2030, as Starmer's green policies take effect, many Britons are beginning to worry about the cost of Labour's environmental ambitions. For Starmer, the challenge now is to repair the damage caused by McTernan's remarks and prove that Labour is still a party for all Britons, not just urban voters or environmentalists. The scandal has served as a stark reminder that political missteps can have serious consequences, particularly when they touch on deeply held values and livelihoods. Whether Starmer can bridge the divide between Labour and the farming community remains uncertain, but one thing is clear. This isn't a scandal that will be easily forgotten. As tensions continue to simmer, we'll keep you updated on all the twists and turns of this explosive story. Be sure to subscribe, like, and stay tuned for every scandalous detail, because this Labour farming debacle is far from over, and the fight for Britain's countryside has only just begun.